Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 9 of Become a Citizen Developer, in which we are going to talk about PowerPoint automation. So, what is PowerPoint automation? So, any automation that refers to the task related to what we do using PowerPoint or presentation slides is called PowerPoint presentation. So, when we can actually automate minor tasks involving adding or removing slides or creating the presentation or sending it over or changing the format of the PPT to PDF or any other format actually falls under PowerPoint automation. And how do we do it? So first and foremost step for doing the PowerPoint automation is that we need to utilize the resource use PowerPoint presentation as we used to do it in Excel or Word, that we have to use Excel resource or we have to use Word resource to actually utilize all of the activities that PowerPoint automation offers to us in Studio X. So let's move towards the practical implementation and see that how do we actually do it. So over here, if you select PowerPoint, you'll see an N number of activities that are present, which would help us in doing a PowerPoint automation. So to walk you through the question or the practical thing that we would be implementing is that we have an Excel file here, and then we have a presentation template here. So we would actually be creating an entire PPT using automation, and then we can later convert it to PDF so that it is non-editable, and we can then use an email resource to send it to a certain group. So over here, you can see that there's a partner name placeholder, which we can replace with the company name or the corporation name. Then we see that we have quarter overview and we have new business upsell. So over here, we would be replacing it with charts. And then we have two other slides that we would be creating. And if you see at the mock data, then we have partner name written here. And then there are charts for the other two things. That there are chart for this thing, the quarter thing, and then there's a chart for the upsell thing. So we would then be replacing those content placeholder with these charts. So let's get started. So for this particular practical implementation, what we would be doing is that we have a template here, but we would not be editing directly in the template. To avoid this, that our template remains intact. So we would create a copy of the template so that on that we actually operate or start editing. So first of all, for creating a top copy of the template, we're going to use copy file. So what would be the source? So our source would be the input folder, and inside that input folder, we have our presentation template. So this would be a template file, and where do we want to save it? We also have an output folder. So we would save it inside the output folder. So I'll open a text editor and add output. And what are we going to name it? We would name it final presentation. Don't forget to add the extension PPTX. Let me check if output, yeah, it is correct. So I will save it. So what this would simply create a copy of our input template, and I'll click on override so that every time it creates a new file. So if I run this thing, I would get a PPT created here, which would be the copy of my presentation template. Okay, it says could not find final presentation.pptx. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll have to copy the path. So I'll go back, click on OK, open the text editor, and instead of this output here, I'm going to paste the path. Okay, so now it will be able to find it because it's not in the immediate directory. So we have to give the entire path for it. And now if I run this thing, so we would be able to see a final presentation being created here. Now comes that we utilize everything that is present here in the mock data to actually create our presentation template, like make it ready. So we have a mock data here. Now two things that we want to utilize this particular thing to fill in our presentation. So either we can use an Excel resource. If we do not want to use an Excel resource, we can simply add that new Excel file using Data Manager. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add this as mock data in the Data Manager. So here in the Data Manager, you can see now mock data has been added. So now I do not used to use use Excel resource to actually utilize the data that is present in here in the mock data file, this is another way how can I do it. But of course, to use and edit the PowerPoint presentation, I would be using use PowerPoint presentation resource. Okay. So what is actually my file? So my file would be the output presentation file that I've created here. And I would be referencing it as PowerPoint. If in case, suppose if I do not run it and I create my output file, so then I would not be able to refer it as PowerPoint presentation, which means I'll not have anything here. So to use a base file to, actually get to know the slide, get to know the chart, wherein we indicate that, okay, we have to go to this slide, we have to edit this chart, or we have to edit this table, I can also utilize my template file in here. But since I've created it, like, because I gave this thing a run and my final presentation was already created. But if in case I do not give this thing a run, like just copy file, then what I can do, I can use my template file as the base to do the further task. Now, if I open my presentation template, the first thing is that I'll have to edit the partner name, right? So I'm going to copy this thing that what has to be edited. I'll go back. Now to do this replace thing, we should have a replace text sort of activity. So you can see replace text in presentation. So I'm going to replace the text in presentation. My presentation would be PowerPoint because I'm referring to as PowerPoint. What do I have to find? So I'll open the text editor. I'll have to look for partner name. So whether I want to match case, wherein it would match for the capital and the small letter, I want to only replace the whole words, or I want to replace all the occurrence that is there. So now since partner name is occurring in almost all the slides, so I'm going to go with replace all. And what do I want to replace it with? So I would replace it using mock data Excel, and this is my partner name. So I'll confirm it. So now this will replace everything. Wherever partner name is written, it would be replaced. Now comes that I want to get a chart here instead of this chart placeholder. So if you remember, in the Word file, we came across alt text. So if we want to replace any picture in there, we actually refer to its alt text, and that is how we replace. Like instead of that particular alt text, we get in a picture there. Alt content placeholder is now not similar to alt text, but actually does a similar kind of job. So now to actually get the content placeholder for this particular thing, you can go to the home tab, and here inside arrange, you'll have to go through selection pane, and then you can see everything here. So kind of content placeholder for this thing is quarter overview chart ph. So I will copy this. Okay. And now what I have to do is, instead of this particular thing, I have to get a chart there. Okay. So for that, you can see that there are n number of activities over in here. And from that, we have to pick an activity that actually does the job that we want to do. And what is that activity? So we would use paste item into slide. Okay. And before that, to paste the item into the slide, we'll have to first copy it to the clipboard, because you can see paste item into slide actually paste the clipboard content. So if we have to get the clipboard content, so for that, we'll have to first paste that particular image into the clipboard. So I would use a group activity, and I would be performing that entire task into this group activity. So this group activity is nothing, but it actually logically separates the thing. Now for me to actually copy this chart into clipboard, and then from clipboard, I have to get that chart and paste into presentation. So this is you can see sequence of activities that does a particular job. So it's better that if we group it into a group activity. Okay. So I can name it as replace chart 1. Okay. And now I'll get that chart and place it in clipboard. And for that, I have an activity named copy chart to clipboard. So let me look for that activity. Copy. Okay. Copy paste slide. I think no. Not copy paste slide, because that's going to copy the entire slide. And I only have to copy the chart to the clipboard. So do we see it? Get Excel chart maybe? Yeah, action copy to clipboard. Okay. So where is my chart? So my chart is in mock data. I'll go to charts. Now I want to first replace the quarter overview. Okay. So now I've got that onto clipboard. Now since now my chart is in clipboard, I'll use paste item into slide. What is the slide number? So slide number is 1, slide 1. What is the content placeholder? First I'm using quarter 1, right? So let's go back. So this is quarter overview. And what is the content placeholder? Quarter overview chart PH. So in the content placeholder, I'm going to type that thing. Okay. Now, similarly, we have to replace the chart too. So we can simply copy paste this group, rename it so that it is easy for anybody to read and understand what is being done in this particular group. Now, this time, instead of quarter overview, I'm going to select new business upsell. Slide number remains the same. What is the content placeholder for new business upsell? It is this. So we'll copy this particular thing, go back and change the content placeholder to this thing, new business upsell chart. So now it will replace these two things. Now what comes if I move to slide number 2? So partner name would be replaced by itself. And now this is a table placeholder, named table placeholder. So, and this is new business. So what are we going to do? If we come here in mock data, if we filter this particular thing as new business, and I'll remove the upsell. So I'll get only new business. So if I have to copy this entire data into that particular table placeholder, so that is what we have to do now. So again, I'm going to get a group activity because it's a similar kind of activity that we have to perform for slide 1 and for slide 2. So I'll name it new business. Now that I have to filter the data based on new business. So I'll use a filter activity for it. Where is my filter activity? Here it goes. Okay. So what is my source? My source is of course mock data. Okay. Or I'll just select mock data, filter database range. Okay. Now what is my column name that I want to apply filter to? So my column name is type. Okay. As of now, I would replace all the filters. Here I go. So my column name is, we have copied the column name. So we're going to paste it here that our column name is type. Okay. And we want to replace it with new business. Like we want to only get the records that has column name as type as new business. So it's equal to, I'll open the text again and new business. So this thing is going to filter everything that has, I am going to mock data sheet 1. Okay. So this would replace everything and would only get the type as new business. Once I have that, I would add a data table because now I have to add a data table to the slide. Okay, so you can see add data table to slide. So now my slide number becomes 2. Now my content placeholder would be, so if you see for this table, what is the content placeholder? It is table placeholder. So I'll copy this entire thing, go back here. So this time my content placeholder becomes table placeholder. And what is the table that I want to add? Okay. So let's check that when we do this thing, where is that filter? Yeah. So now this is the table that we want to add. So the source we have, everything we have. Now let's just go and select the table. So we would go here, mock data, and we'll go indicate in Excel. And what is that we want to get in? So we want to get in this entire thing. And we'll click on confirm. Okay. Exclude source header. We want to keep the header. So we do not want to keep the headers. So we would want to keep the headers. And now let's give this thing a run to see how much of it is working. Okay, so I'm going to close this presentation and I'm going to close this mock data thing. Don't save, and let me give this thing now a run. So our output file is existing as of now, but it would be overwritten by a new file. So it says it already exists. Okay, so have we not clicked on overwrite? Yes, we have not clicked on override. So now we'll click on override, and though the file is already existing, it would be replaced. So I'll click on run, and the file would be replaced by a new file. The partner name would be edited. The chart has been inserted, if you can see. And now we have come on to the second slide. Okay, let's go back and check the final presentation. So you can see first file looks totally fine, and so is the second file. Everything has been replaced. The same thing can be done when we want to have the upsell thing present here. So what we can do is we can simply copy this group. Nothing much has to be done. We can rename this thing for our better understanding that will make it upsell. This time, the only difference would be that when we are filtering, we have to filter it not based on type being new business, but the type being upsell, and rest everything remains same. Only difference that now we have to edit it on slide 3. Okay. So as of now, you can see this slide is empty. This has all the records for new business, whereas this slide doesn't have. And let me also check what is the content placeholder for this. That is also a main thing to check. So for that, I'll go on to arrange, I'll go on to selection pane, and looks like the content placeholder is the same. It's table placeholder only. So I'll simply close this thing and give my solution again a run so that we can get our entire PPT being made. So you can see 12:35 is the right time, and now it would be overwritten with the new file that would be created and would be done within seconds, and then we'll check out the file. So now you can see the filter has been applied as upsell, and we'll copy all the records for upsell into the presentation that has been created. So let's go and open it. So this is the first slide. This is the second slide with type is equal to new business. And then this is the third slide with type is equal to upsell. So this is how easy it is to use PowerPoint automation and the activities that is provided with Studio X to actually build your presentation within seconds. So you can even delete the slide. You can either copy paste the slide from another presentation. Say you created presentation for each quarter, and at the end you want to create a summarized presentation for the entire year. So you can do that copy paste slide, and at the end of every quarter and at the end of every year, the presentation would be created by itself and would be sent to the stakeholders. You can format the slide content, like, work on the beautification and CSS stuff. You can even add file to the slide. Data table, we saw that we can do it. We can also add image and video to the slide to make it more interactive. We can add new slide. We can add text. We can replace the text from different source. And we can even run a presentation macro, and we can save the PowerPoint presentation file as PDF as well. So if we want to do this as well, so that it is not editable. So our presentation file is this only. Where do we want to save it? So suppose we wanted to save it here in the output folder only. And we'll give the name as PDF format, something like this. And let's click on save. Okay. And if we give this thing now a run, a PDF format of that particular file would be created. And usually what happens that we want to send in the PowerPoint presentation also as a PDF, so that it is non-editable. The person to whom we are sending is not able to edit the presentation for say security reasons or for data security reasons. So that also can be done very easily. And you can see now PDF format of that particular presentation has been created, and you can send this over. So this is how you can utilize all of the activities that come in with PowerPoint to make your presentation within seconds, make it attractive with all the formatting and everything done. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching the video, and stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Happy learning.